Hi, boys and girls. Our journey through fractions is now going to take us into reducing fractions to find the simplest form. We've just left equivalent fractions, and we figured out how to find equivalent fractions. And simplest form is just technically finding an equivalent fraction that is smaller than the original fraction. The definition of a simplest form is a fraction is in simplest form when the numerator and the denominator have no other common factors than the number 1. Let's remind ourselves of what a factor is. A factor is any number that multiplies by another to get a common answer, a common number. So, for instance, if we have the number 6, so we want to find the factors of the number 6. So any number, two numbers that you can multiply together to get 6. So obviously 1 and 6, those are our favorites. And then also 2 and 3. So 1 and 6, 2 and 3 are factors of number 6. And remember, boys and girls, don't forget, whenever you're dealing with fractions, fractions always have a buddy. So if you remember one fraction, you know you have to get another one in order to multiply them together to get the final answer. So fractions always have a buddy. Keep that in mind. All right, so in order to get a reduced fraction or a fraction in simplest form, you can do it one of two ways. The first way is that you find all the factors for both numerator and denominator and then pick the biggest factor that's common between both lists. And that is called the greatest common factor, or GCF. So let's see an example of that. So I've got 6/18. So let's find the factor for 6, which we already did. We've got 1, 2, 3, and then we have, what do we have? We have 6? Absolutely. Let's go to 18. So we've got 1 and 18. We've got 2 and 9. Any others that you can think of? Right, 3 and 6. So now we have found our factors for both numerator and denominator, and let's see which ones are common. Of course, 1 is always going to be common, but 1, if we divide 1, we're not going to get anywhere, so we don't want to think on that one. We do have 2, and I do see that 3 is, but the winner is 6 because that is larger than 2 and 3, and it is common in both lists. So let's go ahead and then divide 6 and 18 by 6. So 6 divided by 6, 1. 18 divided by 6 is 3. You're right. So we have now found, we've gone from 6 to 18ths down to the simplest form, which is 1/3. All right. So there is another way that you can find the simplest form, is if you have a fraction, you have like 15/45. Sometimes when you look at both those numerators and denominators, you can automatically see a number that you can multiply by both of them. So in this case, since they both end in 5, you know that both will divide evenly by the number 5. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just automatically going to do it. I'm not going to list all my factors. I'm just going to say I immediately see 5, and that's a pretty good size number, so let's do it. 15 divided by 5 is 3. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Okay. 3/9 is smaller, but is it small enough? Is it the absolute smallest where you look at 3 and 9 and the only factor that's the same among both of those numbers is 1? I don't think so. I think I see another number. So I am going to look at that and automatically I see 3. So then I'm going to go divide again. Divide both of them by 3 again. And 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Oh, we're back to 1/3. But now if you look at 1 and 3, you can clearly see that there is no other factor other than 1 that will be the same factor. So that is the two ways to find your fractions in simplest form. Now, what happens if you have a fraction that can't be reduced? So there are fractions out there that don't really look like they're the smallest possible form, but they really are. So if you have 5/12. Okay, so I look at 5/12. Immediately what should come to mind is that 5 is a prime number. So 5 only has the factors 1 and the number itself. 1 is the only one in there. I mean, 12 has several other factors, but 5 is not a factor of 12. Therefore, 5/12 is simplest form, and you can't get any smaller. So that would list your final answer. Boys and girls, I hope you have fun with them.